Hi, I'm Abhishek, and this is Inside Edge with Real Cricket.
Hey guys, this has been a long time coming, and I think I'm glad to finally be on the podcast, kick this series off, which is going to be a few episodes leading up to the release of the new game, Real Cricket 21, and excited to speak to you, Abhishek.
Yeah, absolutely, man. For you guys that don't know, Anuj and I actually went to school together. We grew up playing games together. Cut to 15 years ago when we were sitting in a gaming cafe and playing on LAN when playing online was not even a thing. And then, we lost touch. And now here we are, so many years later, working in the same company.
You're lying about that 15 years. I think it's about 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years, whatever. A long time, basically. We were kids. We were in school. Anuj, how did gaming happen, man? Let's go from the cafe days and go step by step.
Yeah, so look, like growing up when, before the cafe days, obviously gaming was something we would do, but, I never knew that at least we weren't fortunate enough in India to be educated enough.
Absolutely, man.
To have avenues where you go and think about gaming as a career.
Absolutely, right? Not at all.
So, so those cafes actually were quite an important part of the journey towards where I am at today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it so happened that, to pay some of those hourly fees that we used to pay at the cafes.
Yeah, we used to struggle, man.
we needed pocket money. And so my mom thought that, I should be more responsible and get that pocket money,
Yourself.
myself, yeah. And so I started working for this QA firm, a game testing firm. And we used to do these projects on handheld devices. And whilst interacting with the developers of those games, I found out that this could actually be a career, and you could if you had enough interest, you could explore this.
Right.
So I did some research, and then post the research, I decided let me go and study this stuff.
Right.
And so I went to the UK, did a degree in computer games production.
Right.
So that's what basically set me up.
Right.
To be on this path.
Right. And then you moved back and...
Yeah, well, because you see, I graduated unfortunately in 2009, and with 2008's recession.
Oh yeah, of course. Bad time to be anywhere, really. Yeah.
So I had to come back. I came back, I think the end of 2009, and then joined this, sort of independent gaming studio called 𝗙𝗂𝘁 Games. And, at those times, you had the feature of Java phones and all that.
Absolutely,
right? So
yeah.
That's what the studio would develop for. So I joined in the capacity of a game designer, right?
Right.
It's really small studio, like 12 people, I think.
Still in Bombay?
It was in Bombay, yes.
Right.
And that studio didn't have producers and this and that. So often you'd have to wear multiple hats.
Yeah.
Which was quite important because it taught me quite a bit in this short time that I was there.
And I mean, to be honest, we still do it today. So.
No, we do it today, but in terms of educating me to do it more efficiently today,
right?
It has to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so whilst I was there, that's when we created Ultimate Cricket, which was which I designed, and the team created Ultimate Cricket, which was the first cricket game that I worked on, right, on mobile. And we launched it for the feature phones as well as the first Android phones that had come at that point of time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice, man. And so you made Real Cricket 14, and over the years, you added so much content to it, even though it was a 2D game. So the auction was fairly interesting to me because, it kind of mimics what actually happens in cricket. So even though people weren't asking for it at the time, how did you come up with the concept of adding the auction element on mobile?
Well, look, the whole idea with Real Cricket, and any product, for that matter, the products that work generally work because there's a gap, there's a vacuum, right? And that product addresses that need.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so with Real Cricket, always, trying to, even with the 2D game, it was trying to address certain things which other games weren't being able to do.
Right.
And we weren't looking for inspiration from other games as such. That's never been our approach. It's more always been about, going and trying to get on the phone what you see on the TV.
Right.
I mean, that is the outlook.
Just to emulate what the real experience
Yeah, and I just thought it'd be really cool. One day I thought to myself, how cool would it be if, I was in charge of a franchise, because,
Right.
I mean, a lot of the sport games that people play, they play them because they can't do the actual thing. You can't be Cristiano Ronaldo, right? So you play
FIFA.
You play FIFA, and then you try and figure out, that experience. You watch a match, Man United, your favorite team, or Liverpool play against each other, and sometimes Liverpool might beat Man United, and then you go
really
play FIFA,
off.
try to reverse the results.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's how the auction thing came in, and then I was like, okay, let's design this, right? Because I just wanted to have the experience of owning a franchise and bidding for whoever you want,
whichever players, etc.
So what you can't do actually in the real world, you can try and do it at least on video.
Exactly, that's why we play, right? Yeah. So let's cut to RC18, which was your first game in Unity 3D. So, what made you make the switch? What were the challenges? And how was the overall experience of porting a whole system?
So, I'll just go a little bit behind, right?
Sure.
Because I think it's important for everyone to know how this journey started and how we got to that point.
Right.
And, so I was working in 𝗙𝗂𝗶𝗲𝗀, Hyderabad.
Yeah.
Right? And one day, I was handling production there, and one day the studio decides to shut down its production operations in India. So then there were a lot of people available, right. in the market. And Nicholas, who was my roommate and fellow producer in Gameloft, always had this ambition of starting his own game studio in India. And this was then a great opportunity for him. And so we picked up about 4 or 5 guys, and he'd already set up some promoters to go and do this. And so we started Nautilus in 2013.
And the idea was always that, hey, we're going to make a cricket game.
No, it wasn't. So we started off, he wanted to, he was a big RPG fan, right? So he wanted to do that ever since he was a kid, make an RPG game himself. And so we did 𝗠𝗸𝗶𝗶𝗲 to start with. It was an action RPG kind of, game. Critical success, we got some awards during the NASCOM gaming show that year. But commercially, it didn't do too well, right?
Not enough RPG players.
No, I think it wasn't about not enough RPG players. It's more to do with, a lot of the RPG consumption happens in North America, in Southeast Asia, right? And I just thought, this is the reason why we then moved on to making Real Cricket, was because I thought it'd be easier for us sitting in India to connect with people around us, right? And thereby create local content first.
Which didn't really exist at the time, I would think.
No, there were a lot of cricket games out there, and we had players there who, India Games, etc., would made cricket games, back from 2010 onwards and 9 onwards. So.
Well, but then you wouldn't have noticed a gap. You just
so
decided.
What happened was, a lot of the games that were out there were already 3D games.
Right.
But the problem was the hardware available at that point in time wasn't good enough.
Right.
And so the 3D games almost seemed half-baked. Because they couldn't,
exactly.
And that's why I said, okay, why do 3D when you don't have hardware that's good enough to sort of support it and all of that, right? So, so we started doing, Real Cricket in 2D.
2D, yeah.
Yeah, and
this is circa 2012.
This was in December of 2013.
13.
Right. So I said, let's do a cricket game, and obviously the company wasn't doing too well at that point in time. So the promoters and Nicola were all like, 4 months from now, if you can't do something or we can't do something,
that's it. It's
that's
best.
it. Yeah. So I remember, starting the project on the 3rd of January in 2014, I think.
Right.
And we released the first Android game, right, in 2014, April the 6th.
Just a few days shy of your deadline.
Yeah, so we were actually meant to release 1 week earlier, and then we got delayed and all that. But it's funny, I'll tell you a story about how the name came into be, right? So we were a really small team, we were about 5 or 6 guys at that point in time, and 𝗬𝗏𝗹 was my art guy, right? Like, beautiful 2D artist, and so a lot of in fact, all the animations, right, were hand painted, frame by frame animation that was done in 2D.
Right.
And I used to keep sort of messing with him in the sense I was trying to get things, absolutely right. So I was like, ये भी कर ले, नहीं ऐसा नहीं कर ले. So one day he lost it. He was like, क्या मतलब क्या, इससे अच्छा तो मैं real cricket ही बना दूँ. And I was like,
that's it.
I was like, that's it. That's what we're gonna call this, right? And so that's how the name came into be. Like it was one person's frustration that caused him to, use that word.
And now that frustration goes on to a bigger team.
Yeah, and I think it just sounded right at that point in time, and it was also a little bit of a throwback to Gameloft because obviously them shutting us down and not believing in us, and then we had to create something of our own. And a lot of the sports games that Gameloft used to make used to have this real tagline, real football, and so on. So
in the Java days.
Yeah, and so that also came in that okay, this is where we are coming from. And then so we did 14 and we did 15.
Right.
15 was done for Windows because they signed some exclusivity with us.
Right.
So we did that.
16 back on Android and.
Yeah, see, we used the same engine from 14 all the way to 17. Right. We tried to improve it and all that. But at the end of the day, the competition, right? Like they were obviously going to proceed and develop better things, and then the hardware started supporting some of the things, right? And we were getting to the end of the life cycle on the engine, but there was not really much we could have
push it further.
And people were expecting better graphics, more depth. And all that.
Because obviously your competitors had also made the jump.
And so then in 18 we decided, in 17 we decided that this is it.
This is the last one.
And we will do, we'll venture into the 3D space, right? Beyond level playing fields with, our competition as well. And then Real Cricket 18 came into being. So I think that's what caused us. It was just out of need and the urge to deliver better content, better experience, that we moved from 2D to 3D.
Nice.
Eventually.
How challenging was it? Did you build it up from scratch, or was there a bunch of stuff that translated fairly decently in terms of the code base? Or
no, absolutely not. So there was nothing that was taken forward.
Right. Oh, so you just
It was completely done from scratch.
Right.
And the only thing I think that got taken forward was, I think, the philosophy, right?
Yep.
And the vision. I don't think anything else other than that was taken from here to there. It was a great experience because a lot of learning. We were making a 3D game for the first time, and
different language as well.
Yeah, different language and
technicals.
I remember when we were creating the game, one of our employees joined in, right? And he was like, so 6 months into production, okay? We are like, okay, struggling, trying to make stuff. And he meets me, just casually over a drink or so, and he's like, oh, you know what? I thought when I joined the company that you guys make really crazy cricket games, but it doesn't look like. Right? And he used to play WCC, and some other cricket games in his this thing, 𝗙𝗂𝘁𝗶𝗲, in his free time.
Right.
And so then at that point in time, we took it up as a challenge internally. It was like, okay, इसको convert करना है.
Right.
इसको convert करना है, इसको push करना है, right? And it so happened that that individual then became the so-called chief critical officer.
Right.
All of the time he was critical, and we were just trying to make sure
he's happy.
He's happy, and that it worked in a lot of ways because you want to have that one person around, who's sort of criticizing what you do.
Who'll just give it to you straight.
Who thinks you're crap. And
Absolutely, man. So now, do you truly believe that it has now become a success?
See, success is very relative, right? So what I thought was great, 2 years ago.
Right. Today it's like meh.
It's not meh, but you see, if you become complacent and content, right, then you're going to be run over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eventually, right? It's a matter of time. And a lot of the games that have gone out from our studio, at least, have been focused around at least making us play. Like, in a sense, we should feel like playing the game before it goes out, right? If we think it's boring or whatever, there's no point.
There's no point, yeah.
And also there's, because we're such, within the studio, we're such big cricket fans.
Right.
That we want to do more things. Like, we want to see, more things happening in the game and the game evolving into accommodating all these things, right?
Right.
The newer tech, even on broadcast, when you see like, the hotspot comes
out, like the spider cam.
Spider cam and all of those things,
absolutely.
Right? And you see some guy playing like this new shot,
right?
And then you want him like, oh, that looks great. You know?
We need to animate it, put it into the game. Yeah. So, how much of your decision-making process is based off of what you enjoy as opposed to what your fans enjoy? Because, your comments, and a lot of people will come in and tell you that, hey, you wanted to add this, or etc. So how do you balance it out?
No, see, the thing is, we've been blessed with a lot of users. And, hence we get a lot of feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So we get sometimes emails which are 3-4 pages long.
Oh,
right?
okay.
It's like a thesis, longer than what I wrote at university. So it sort of covers everything. Like, it's like a wish list, right? But we have to be a little bit more practical.
Exactly.
See, everyone can have a great idea, but according to me, a great idea is great only if it's implementable, right? Like, if you can implement it, then it's a great idea. Otherwise, it's just
an idea.
Or a wish list. So a lot of our decisions are actually gut calls, right?
Right. This is an ideal scenario. Can we do it?
No, it's when I say gut call, it's like, look, a lot of the content that came into cricket games, I think we were like, the first to think of them. Like you mentioned, the auction and this and that.
Yeah.
And no one else. Then we put the auction out, and then people started asking for the auction with every cricket game that came out. So we like to think about ourselves as if we're pioneers, at least in terms of the content that we can think of putting in. And with the rest of the stuff, like there is obviously certain things like the career mode or this and that, and people will ask for that because that's been provided somewhere else, or they've seen it in other sports games and they want to. So those decisions obviously have to be made, in terms of what can be done, when can it be done, right? So everything will be done, right? Because if it's things like certain massive game modes, they will be part of our pipeline. It's just about when we execute, because whenever we do it, we want to do it well, right?
And properly, exactly. Tell me about multiplayer in cricket, man. Like how was that? How did that go about? How did you guys go about implementing it?
Multiplayer, see, like I said, certain things you have to do. It's not like anyone has to come up and think, "Ki bhai, multiplayer mode banaye kya?" You have the time, you have the skill set, you have to make it, right? Because what's more fun than playing against each other?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And again, like I said, of course, users were asking for multiplayer and all of that, but it was more to do with what we wanted to do in the studio. It's like we wanted to play against each other, right? And that's what led to us making that game mode.
Was it particularly challenging?
So challenging, though, I think definitely, right? Everything that we make, new for the first time, brings itself with challenges. But the great part about challenges is what doesn't kill you, right?
Makes you stronger.
Absolutely. So today, multiplayer is not so much of a concern because it's done, even when we do it again in 21. It'll be, better, hopefully, than the last attempt. And I think what certain things we learned, with the multiplayer mode is that our game, the way the balance of our game is, and the amount of depth that the game has, it's very suited to multiplayer. So I think that's what made that mode quite interesting to, play for the users. We still play it sometimes. We've heard reports of some users bumping into some of the developers from Nautilus in some actual match.
Nice.
It so happens.
Nice, man. We're looking at 𝗙𝗂𝗏 coming out soon, right? So what can we expect in terms of like features and changes compared to even 𝗙20?
Look, I don't want to give away a lot,
Sure.
right? So definitely it's not going to be like, this is going to come into 𝗙21. But what I can tell you is that whatever we're planning for 𝗙21 is quite ambitious.
Right.
I can definitely assure everyone watching this and listening to this that it is by far the most ambitious project that has ever come out of the Real Cricket franchise.
Right. So would it be fair to say that it's the sort of jump that you mentioned between 17 and 18?
I'd like to think so.
Nice. So probably most of the people don't know, but you left Nautilus and Real Cricket for a short while. How difficult was it? What did it feel like? You left your baby that you started with 5 people, and then you moved on. And
look, obviously, I did move for a short while, right? But I don't think I can clearly say that I left Real Cricket because that's something right here, and I think. Even if you ask a lot of the other guys on the team, they wouldn't think that I'd left.
Right.
And we're lucky to have Real Cricket back with us, and Mr. Rajan Damani from Jet Synthesis, has massive ambitions in this space, and I'd like to thank him for believing in the product,
and the team,
and the rest of the team, and obviously me. So we hope to get to heights, and I think there were certain things that we weren't able to do on our own, but now being part of the larger Jet Synthesis family, I think we will be able to sort of get past those limitations and achieve things which we could have probably achieved if we had the ability to take more risks.
Right. So you're back at the helm of Nautilus. You also did a bunch of the Sachin Saga game. So you want to let the fans know something about that? Like what the Sachin Saga experience was like for you?
So yeah, I mean, I'm looking after Sachin Saga for like a little over than, I think, a year, right?
A year, yeah.
And we're trying to improve that game as well. I think that game also has terrific potential. And, I don't see it as a rival, because now we're all
one umbrella.
Yeah, and obviously working, having that honor to work with Mr. Sachin Tendulkar, personally on this project. It's a dream come true.
Yeah.
Right. And we're looking to develop that product also further, take it to newer heights.
Right.
And the big question is that, Sachin Saga is a cricket game, Real Cricket is a cricket game, and how do you differentiate between the two? I think each game has its own personality, so I don't see that as a particular challenge.
Its own gameplay.
And as long as both the games are ours and they're doing relatively well in the market, we don't want to be seeing one over the other.
Right, absolutely. So in terms of, like you said, like you get to work with Sachin, Jet Synthesis has a lot of affiliations, and there's the license integration. Do you feel like some of that in the future will bleed into how Real Cricket works as well?
Look, Jet Synthesis has a great network as a company, right?
Yeah.
And like I said before, right, I think there were certain limitations that we had when we were working on our own. Now that we're part of this larger family, of course, we will look to sort of make the most of these affiliations.
Right.
And there are certain things that when two companies come together, right, they come together for a reason, because they believe in the vision, the ambition, right? And I think already, Real Cricket is growing every day, both as a game and as a brand, right?
Yeah.
And I think this year in particular, 2021, is going to be great for cricket games in general.
Right. So I guess most of the fans are going to want to know this. When can we expect 𝗙𝗂𝗏?
That's a famous question. RC21 कब आएगा sir? Right, I get WhatsApp messages with that like late in the night. I'm sure the team, also the social media teams are like, dealing with that question every day.
Right.
So कब आएगा तो like look, I think we're in a time, with these COVID times.
Right.
I think even the IPL doesn't know when it's going to come. Right. So for me to give a solid answer saying ये date को आएगा, right?
It's not gonna. Yeah.
It's not going to happen. But what I'll definitely say is, जब भी आएगा, तो बढ़िया आएगा.
Right.
Right. And
That's the dream.
I think users should be, a little patient with us, but at the same time knowing that we're, definitely working extremely hard on it. And the entire team is geared and excited about the product, just as excited as they are, right? And we will release it when we think the game is ready, right? And right now it's not. So yeah.
Have some time to go then. So the final question for me. In terms of cricket on mobile, right? I mean, so many features, so many modes, so many games. And with bandwidth improving every single year, where do you see cricket games in 2 to 3 years? Maybe esports or tournaments, or how do you see India adapting towards the upgrades in the games?
No, so see, cricket and India, I mean, they just
it's hand in hand, right?
So definitely, I think cricket will continue to be a very large topic in the mobile game space in India, but we're also, jet synthesis and real cricket will also be making an effort to go into other cricket playing nations and, expand our presence there.
Right.
3 years down the line, I think, games will be hopefully better, right? The hardware will allow us to put more and more in terms of, performance and quality.
Right.
I think the rest of the genres will always be there. Like,
right.
Some new genres coming in, like Battle Royale is something that's come in over the last 2 to 3 years.
Hugely popular as well.
So those sort of genres, those sort of breakpoints for the industry will come in and keep coming in. But I think cricket was something that was in the gaming space before and will continue to do so, I think.
Right. Awesome. Well, thanks, man. And all the best for RC21.
Thank you.